Hey everybody, welcome back to the Balanced Vibes podcast. This is your host, Kirsten. Today we're going to talk about 5 tools, 5 things that we did with one of my clients that helped her to gain muscle, lose inches, and improve her overall energy, and actually also helped her to overcome some of the digestive issues that she had, such as bloating and gas that she had been experiencing for quite some time. So I hope that you find today's episode inspiring. And when you listen to this, maybe you find, hey, this is me. This is how I am right now, the way she used to be in the past. Then I just want to make sure that you know that there is hope for you. You don't have to feel bad. You don't have to suffer. You can build muscle. You can improve your health. You just have to trust the process and sometimes accept the fact that you cannot figure everything out yourself and you need some help from somebody who has done this for a while. So this is what today's episode is going to be about. Before that, make sure that you are joining my Fit and Fuel Facebook group, where I share good stuff every week. On Mondays, I do a live training, and on other days, I share some valuable tips and tools, client case studies, photos, food tips, hormone tips, and metabolic health tips. This is a big one there because I always want to make sure that you stay healthy and happy as you're working on your body composition goals. So make sure that you join the group. Also, this spring, I will do a fun challenge there, and I hope you will join. All right, so let's talk a little bit about then those 5 changes that we made with one of my clients that helped her to gain muscle, have more energy, and lose some inches. So first, I want to give you a little bit of background, what she had done before. So she had done mostly fasted workouts. Not mostly, always 100%, right? This was always the case. So morning workouts, and they were fasted. And she also did high intensity training for a couple of days a week. So some of the workouts were strength training workouts, but I would say that the strength training workouts were not actually that good quality. And I'll tell you in a second why. And then a couple of days a week, she was also doing high intensity, the HIIT training. So the way that strength training workouts were structured, in my opinion, is not good resistance training program that was used there at all. So it's more like moderate weights, quick reps, moving on to the next exercise, doing maybe some cardio in between, and then quickly switching to the next weight, doing the next exercise. Everything was very quickly done with no proper rest in between. And actually, I'm not surprised that the results are not very good like that, because there's no progressive overload at all in this type of program, which is actually something that we're going to talk about in the next episode. But a good program needs to have, you need to use heavier weights, you need longer rest periods, and you just can't go from one exercise to the next, just rushing through it. So, but this is what the strength training looked like before. And then also, in addition, there are a couple HIIT workouts a week. The diet was good in a way that there was mostly whole foods, which is really great, and I always like. But also it did include intermittent fasting, which is something that oftentimes is not so good, especially for women. I see that men do better with intermittent fasting, but women, it may work for a while and then they start feeling kind of crappy all kinds of ways. I'm getting really fatigued. I'm developing a little bit of migraines there. When I have to wait for too long, like I get a little too obsessed with food, have to stare at the clock. When can I eat? And then after a long run or after a little while, we're going to develop some adrenal issues because we are now pumping out extra cortisol, right? This is what adrenals do. And this is what fasting does oftentimes. So a lot of people actually are not ready for fasting. And in my opinion, most women aren't. And, when we also drink coffee on an empty stomach before we eat, this makes the fasting even worse. There were also some low carbohydrate days when the carbs were around 50 grams a day, which again is something that we're not doing anymore at all. And she has gotten so much better at that. And that's basically what the diet looked like. So this client told me that she has been in a calorie deficit for probably about 10 years right now, which is a long time. And you probably know that you should not be in a calorie deficit for that long at all. Calorie deficit is meant to be a short period of time, maybe 8 weeks to 12 weeks, max 6 weeks, then diet break, and then you can do one more time, and then you're going to wrap it up. But it should not be a year long, let alone 10 years of being in a calorie deficit. And that's unfortunate how these things often go. As women, we are always trying to lose weight and lose. And then that way we end up in a calorie deficit, and we end up with some issues, with our bodies. Like I said already, adrenals are pumping out cortisol. We have this stress floating around all the time. We're putting extra pressure on our liver when we're not also eating carbohydrates and when we are fasting. So these become problems. And if they're not problems like the first 4 months or 6 months, then they will become problems later. And if you have muscle building goals like this woman had, very difficult to do in these conditions when you're working out fasted, when you are eating like low carb and you're not giving your body what it needs, and also your workouts are not on point. So we got to work and we fixed several of these things, and now we are about 10 weeks in and she has gotten so much better results. It took, of course, a little bit of a change because things were not working before. So we had to change a couple of things. And this is exactly what we're going to talk about today. What were the things that we did that then allowed her to put on a lot of physical strength, a lot of muscle mass, and also help her to lose inches, because she has lost inches in the midsection, even though she is now eating more than she ate when she came to me. Yes, this is true. And of course, her digestive system is also working a lot better. She says that her bloating is down, constipation is no longer an issue, migraines are gone, and all that good stuff. So sometimes, increasing calories and getting better workouts is really what you need. And none of my clients is fasting. None of my clients is fasting or doing low carb days, or the carbs are less than 50 grams a day. Absolutely nothing that I do. All right, so here are the changes that we then implemented. Number 1, started eating a small snack before working out instead of working out fasted. So her fasts used to be 16 hours before, and now she's having a normal overnight fast, which is about 11 to 12 hours. 10 hours is totally fine too. 10 to 12 hours, I would say, for women, totally fine. You do not have to fast. And somebody told me last week in my Fit and Fuel Facebook group, but I thought that intermittent fasting helped me to lose more fat. No, it's not. There's no benefit to it, right? So it doesn't really matter when you eat. I mean, of course, you don't want to eat like all day around a 24 hours a day. You should be eating like that all the time, but you also don't need 16-hour fast. A normal 10 to 12-hour fast is all that you need. And if you don't want to put your body under a lot of stress and bump out a ton of cortisol, the stress hormone, then you don't fast. So we started eating before working out, and it doesn't have to be a huge meal, because some people do work out really early. They work out maybe at 7 o'clock. So what you can do, you can have a little snack, maybe some cottage cheese and maybe an egg, a little bit of carbohydrates, maybe berries or fruit. You can have something like this. And then you have something a little bit more after you have done your workout, but eat something before you workout. So we started implementing that. And as a result, she said that she's getting through her workouts with no problem. So there's no this like fatigue or like muscle fatigue, like, oh, I can't do this thing. And she can also lift a lot heavier weights. So this is also one of the keys here. When you have some food in your system, you can actually lift heavier weights. And isn't that the goal? Of course it is. You want to lift heavy weights because this is really what gives you the results that you're looking for. I promise you, the results don't come from doing cardio with weights. Of course, you can at first, initially, if you haven't done anything and you start doing cardio with weights, which is just bouncing from one exercise to another, yeah, you will get some results. But if you want to get true, solid muscle gains, feeling strong, looking different, building those curves that most women want, then you have to increase, you have to get stronger. And that can only happen when you lift heavier weights, which can only happen if you have enough fuel in your body. So you do not need to fast 16 hours. And I don't prefer that at all. She also says that she has higher energy as a result of eating a little bit of breakfast before she works out. Now, the second thing that we did was that we stopped doing those 50 grams of carbs per day, workout days that she had done before. So her carbohydrates now are between 195 to 205 consistently, right? So all the time. We don't do like, hey, here's your carbs for today, half a slice of bread and a bite of apple. No, we don't do that. So she's getting around 200 grams of carbs consistently, and she's doing so much better. She has no more migraines. Workouts, again, are improved, and your workouts do need carbohydrates. This is the first preferred energy source for your body. So if you're skipping your carbs, I'm not saying that you should be eating cookies and ice cream all the time. I'm not saying that at all, but carbs, good root vegetables, rice, it's all that good stuff. It's not bad. It's not bad, right? It's good for you. And she also says that she has less cravings now because she is eating carbohydrates. So isn't that interesting? All right. The third change that we then implemented was that we increased her calories from 1730, where she was previously, to 2050. And we are still increasing. Actually, we want to get to 2100 and see if we can get even higher than that. To some of you, it may not sound high at all. So maybe you're already eating 2,500, which is amazing. But for many of us, this number, 2050, sounds like astronomical. It's like, what the heck is that? I'm eating 1,200. Well, there's a mistake that we're making because we're not supposed to be eating 1,200. So in her case, she was eating 1,730 on average when she came to me. And she said she wants to build muscle. And the only way to build muscle is to eat enough, eat at least at maintenance or at surplus. But for her, 1,730 calories was definitely still deficit. You don't build muscle when you're in deficit. It's just very hard to do. Sometimes very beginners can do that, but those who already have some experience with working out, a lot harder to do, and generally speaking, almost impossible to do. So now, as we increased her calories by, what is that, 18, over 300, she says that she's more satisfied after meals. Her workout performance is much better. She has no more fatigue. This very common afternoon, like, oh, I'm just gonna like go to sleep. So this is gone. She's also eating fun foods occasionally. So, going out once a week or so and having a little something that she enjoys, totally fine. These things should not be off table. You are supposed to have some of these things. So, for example, if she wants to have a slice of cake or some fries, it's not a problem. She can have what she wants. It's flexibility, because most of the time she's still eating very healthy, whole foods, real foods that she enjoys and that are good for her body. So, that's still the majority, but you can have those things. And by the way, if you're somebody who's like, I cannot have a slice of cake, I cannot have a glass of wine, I cannot have, anything outside of my normal diet that I'm used to, because otherwise I will gain weight, that tells me that you have no metabolic flexibility at all. And that's a problem, because your body is supposed to handle a little bit of that and not gain weight from a slice of cake, right? So this is also important to understand, that you're not supposed to be in a deficit all the time. Like she was 1730, we bumped the calories up, and she needs these calories for muscle building, and it has been going really well. The next thing that we started doing was started using castor oils and castor oil packs and mineral drops. So I talked about mineral drops in my the 5 nutrition myths episode. So make sure that you check out that if you didn't yet. And we also added an apple cider vinegar because she had, we tested her stomach acid and it was low. Stomach acid can get low for many reasons, but stress is one of the big ones. So apple cider vinegar can really help your body to make more stomach acid. Then you will break the food down better and your digestion will improve. Also, castor oil. I love castor oil. I've talked about it several times in the podcast as well. Can also really be very helpful with digestive issues. And for those who are, getting periods, oftentimes your periods will get better as well, because what castor oil does when you use the liver pack is that it really helps your liver to remove toxins and kind of make the liver's job a little bit easier. So now we can get out of everything excessive that's not supposed to be in the body anymore. So castor oil has been really helpful for her as well. Mineral drops are great for just balancing your energy in the body, and they play a big role in your digestive system as well. So these 3 things, castor oil, mineral drops, and apple cider vinegar, are the things that we started using. And as a result, she has much better digestion, no more constipation or bloating, and she has lost inches in her midsection, right? So this is pretty cool. That's a good sign of muscle gain and fat loss. If your inches go down from the midsection, but you may gain a little bit in your thighs or shoulders or butt, this is good, right? This is what we want. But if they go down from a midsection, that definitely says that there's also been fat loss. So these are all really related to her overall health, but also digestive health, because your digestive health always determines your muscle building ability too, and what kind of results do you get from your workouts. And the last thing that we did with her is that we switched from those circuits and high intensity workouts to traditional strength training, right? So the workouts were kind of like what I described before, kind of on the faster side. Yes, there were weights used, but they're light weights. And you do one exercise and you barely rest, maybe don't rest at all, and you quickly do the other, but you're never using your full potential to lift heavy weights and see what you're actually capable of. You're never giving your body the signal, hey, we are really trying to build here. Because if you do like 20 reps with light weights, believe me, it's never going to have the same impact as doing 6 reps with heavy weights. It has a different impact, but it's not the muscle building that you want, right? So we changed that and we started doing traditional strength training that includes a lot of the very important lifts like deadlifts and squats and overhead presses, rows, bench press, things like that, and variations of them. But the difference is that we are not doing them rushed. We are not doing them in a circuit fashion. We're not doing like following a video and doing like really quickly busting out a bunch of reps and then moving on to the next thing. We are taking our time. So we're going to do 8 shoulder presses. We're going to sit down and do nothing. Like literally put your butt down and sit down, right? That's what we do to rest and recover and to make sure that we have energy for our next set. So we can use a similar weight. If you go down a little bit in weight, that's fine too. Of course, there's fatigue that will kick in, whatever, but you should stay, around there, around the same weight. But if you don't rest, then you probably cannot, use that heavy weight. And heavy is, of course, different for everybody. But I'm telling you, if you do the shoulder presses and you've done them forever with like 10 or 15 pounds and you have never even like pushed heavier, then there's definitely room for improvement there. And so what has then resulted from that change from doing circuits and HIIT training to traditional strength training is that her waist measurements are down. She's lifting heavier weights, of course, increased strength, so that has gone up a lot, and also she has energy also after the workout. So this is another important thing to notice. How's your energy afterwards? Do you feel like you just want to go to sleep an hour after working out, or do you feel like, oh, I'm feeling kind of nice, feeling good, I have good energy, I can do the next thing that I need to get done? So this is the difference. And no more HIIT training at all. I mean, if people like it, I personally don't know anymore how you could enjoy HIIT training. I don't do this myself, but sometimes maybe one a week for some people in some circumstances, maybe. I personally don't see the need for it at all, and my clients are not doing HIIT training, so everything is just a resistance training, and it's also just way more kind of calmer, relaxed approach to strength training, because this idea that I have to burn calories, I have to get the heart rate up, I have to keep it up, this is now gone. You're not worrying about that anymore. You are only thinking about building strength. And that takes a lot of that pressure off. So these are some of the great results that we have gotten. It's been really great to work with her because she didn't like push back or fight. Sometimes when it's a new thing, people can be like, oh, I don't know if this is going to work. I kind of, I've always done things differently, but you got to realize if you have done things a certain way and it has stopped working, you're not getting results, then it's time to change your approach. All right. This is all I got for you today. Thank you so much for watching or listening. And I would really appreciate a review too if you're watching this on iTunes, listening to this on iTunes, or watching this on YouTube, because they always help to help other people to find these videos or podcasts as well. So thanks again, and see you again very soon.